Ladies and gentlemen, young kings and queens, listen carefully. 10 years from now, your excuses will not introduce you to the world, but your actions. Nobody rewards promises. Nobody celebrates intentions. People remember results. The painful truth is this: many young people love talking about success, but very few are willing to live like successful people. Let me ask you a question today. What would happen if everyone around you judged your future not by your words, but by your daily habits? Would your actions support your dreams, or would they expose them? There is a proverb that says, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. Today, I want to share a story that will show you why the greatest leaders do not merely talk the talk. Rather, they walk the talk. There was a young woman named Sandra, a 20-year-old university student. Sandra was beautiful, intelligent, confident, and popular on campus. Everywhere she went, people noticed her. She often stood before younger students and gave speeches about self-respect, discipline, academic excellence, and building a successful future. Whenever Sandra spoke, people applauded. She constantly told others, stay focused. Protect your future. Don't allow temporary pleasure to destroy permanent opportunities. The words sounded powerful. The problem was that Sandra was not living them. Behind the applause, she lived a completely different life. Every weekend she attended wild parties. Every week she skipped lectures. Every month she spent money she didn't have trying to impress people who didn't truly care about her. She posted motivational quotes every morning and made reckless decisions every night. And here's the retention question. How long can someone pretend before reality arrives? Keep listening. Sandra believed nobody noticed the contradiction. But people always notice. The younger girls who admired her began observing something strange. They heard one message from her mouth and saw another message from her lifestyle. Soon they stopped taking her seriously. One day, a first-year student named Jasmine approached Sandra. Can I ask you something? She said. Sandra smiled confidently. Of course. Jasmine looked directly into her eyes. If discipline is important, why do you miss classes? If protecting your future matters, why are you always at parties? If excellence matters, why are your grades falling? Sandra laughed nervously. But the question followed her home. For the first time, she couldn't escape it. That night she sat alone in her dorm room. No music. No friends. No social media. Just silence. And sometimes silence tells the truth louder than noise. She opened her academic portal. Several failed courses stared back at her. She checked her bank account. Almost empty. She checked her contacts. Hundreds of numbers. Yet she felt completely alone. The pain point wasn't failure. The pain point was realizing she had become the opposite of the person she claimed to be. Young people, that kind of pain is heavy. It is painful to discover that your words are climbing mountains while your actions are digging holes. Sandra cried that night. Not because life was unfair. Not because people betrayed her. She cried because she finally saw the gap between who she pretended to be and who she had become. And that realization changed everything. The next morning she made a decision. Not a speech. Not a promise. A decision. She stopped performing for attention. She started working on herself. She reduced her social activities. She attended lectures consistently. She studied when nobody was watching. She apologized to people she had misled. She began living the advice she once only spoke about. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Some friends mocked her. Some people called her boring. Others accused her of changing. But remember this. Growth often looks strange to people who benefit from your weakness. Month after month, Sandra remained committed. Slowly her grades improved. Slowly her confidence returned. Slowly her life began matching her message. Then something remarkable happened. The same younger students who had stopped listening to her started paying attention again. But this time it wasn't because of her speeches. It was because of her example. They watched her wake up early. They watched her attend classes. They watched her stay disciplined. They watched her overcome temptation. And that's when Sandra learned the most powerful lesson of her life. People may doubt what you say. People may question your intentions. But they cannot argue with consistent action. Your example is your loudest voice. Your habits are your real speech. Your lifestyle is your strongest testimony. Years later, when Sandra graduated with honors, she stood before a group of young women. The room was silent. Everyone expected another motivational speech. Instead, Sandra smiled and said something simple. I spent years talking about success. Everything changed when I started living it. And the room erupted with applause. Not because her words were powerful. Because her life proved they were true. So today, my brothers and sisters, remember this. If you say education matters, study. If you say character matters, live with integrity. If you say your future matters, protect it. If you say you want greatness, behave like someone preparing for greatness. Walk the talk. Because the world is full of people making promises. The world is searching for people whose actions speak before their mouths ever open. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is not failing. The greatest tragedy is knowing the right thing and refusing to do it. So I ask you again. When your actions and your words stand side by side, do they recognize each other? Think about that. And if this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments. Have you ever discovered a gap between what you said and how you lived? Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized that your actions were quietly destroying your dreams? Because I have seen talented young people lose their future chasing approval from people who never planned to stay. And that pain is something I never want you to experience. Walk the talk. Your future is watching.